Anger. We all feel it, right? Sometimes it feels like this storm that just completely takes over. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? In this explainer, we're going to break down how to really understand this powerful emotion, not as some problem we need to get rid of, but as a key part of being human that we can actually learn to master. So let's dive in.
So, this is the main idea we're starting with. Try to think of anger not as this bad, destructive thing, but as a totally neutral signal. It's kind of like a fire alarm going off in your head. It's loud, it's annoying, it definitely gets your attention, but its job isn't to burn the house down, right? Its job is just to tell you, hey, something's wrong here. It's just raw energy waiting for you to give it direction.
And that's the big question, isn't it? If anger is just energy, how do we learn to channel it? How do we go from feeling like it controls us to a place where we control it? Well, that is exactly what we are going to unpack step by step.
Okay, so our first step here is a huge shift in perspective. For way too long, a lot of us have treated anger like this monster hiding under the bed. But it's time to see it for what it really is. It's a messenger, and it's got a really important message just for you.
I love this slide because it puts the two views side by side. On one hand, you have the monster view, which is all about feeling helpless, right? Like you're just on this runaway train, and it usually ends with you regretting something. But look at the message view. Now that is empowering. It says anger can actually inform you. It's an opportunity to learn something and make a conscious, thoughtful response instead of just having that knee-jerk reaction. So really, the key takeaway is this. Anger is a teacher. When you feel it bubbling up, it's trying to tell you something important. Like that flash of anger you get when a coworker takes credit for your work. That's not just random rage. It's teaching you that you value fairness, you value recognition, and learning to listen to that signal, that's the first real step to taking back the reins.
Okay, so if we're supposed to listen to the message, how do we know when it's coming? Well, that brings us right here. Anger doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's almost always a reaction to a specific trigger, and those triggers are unique to you. Figuring out what yours are is the key to getting ahead of that emotional curve. So do any of these look familiar? I bet they do. These are some of the heavy hitters. Maybe for you, it's feeling disrespected in a meeting or feeling totally ignored by someone you care about. The point here isn't to feel bad about having these triggers. We all do. It's just about recognizing them. Seriously, self-awareness is your superpower here.
And this says it all. Once you know what sets you off, you can actually prepare for it. Managing your anger isn't just about what you do in the heat of the moment. It's really about the work you do beforehand to keep things from boiling over in the first place.
So how do you do that, you might be asking? Well, it can be as simple as this. Keep a little anger journal. I know it sounds almost too simple, but trust me, it's so effective. Every time you feel that flash of anger, just take a second to write down what happened, how it felt, and what you did. Pretty soon you're going to start seeing clear patterns, and that knowledge is pure power.
Okay, but what happens when you're totally caught off guard? When that anger hits you fast and you feel that heat rising in your chest? This next part is all about the practical stuff, the tools you can use to get back in control right in that critical moment. And let's be crystal clear about this. Choosing to pause and stay calm is not, I repeat, not a sign of weakness. It is the absolute opposite. It takes incredible strength to fight that primal urge to lash out. It's an active, powerful choice to decide that your emotions don't get to call the shots. And here is a ridiculously simple technique that actually works. The second you feel that anger surging, just stop. Whatever you're doing, take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it for a count, and then let it out slowly through your mouth. That tiny pause does something amazing. It gives the logical part of your brain a chance to catch up with your emotional brain. And that little gap can stop you from saying or doing something you'll really regret later. Now, managing anger doesn't mean you just bottle it up forever. That can be just as bad as exploding. The real goal is to learn how to express it in a smart way, a way that turns a potential fight into a real, constructive conversation. This slide shows one of the biggest game changers in communication. Just look at the difference. A you statement, you always do this, is an attack. It's like pointing a finger, and it immediately makes the other person defensive. But an I statement is totally different. It's an explanation. You're not blaming. You're just sharing your own feelings. And that invites understanding instead of an argument. So here's your basic playbook for having one of those tough but necessary conversations. You start with those I statements we just talked about. You got to try to keep your tone of voice calm. even. Making eye contact shows you're engaged. And then, and this is maybe the hardest part, you have to actually listen to what the other person has to say. It turns a confrontation into a connection. And that brings us to our last and maybe the most important step. After you've understood your anger, managed it, expressed it, there's one last thing you have to do for your own peace of mind. You've got to let it go. This is such a perfect way to put it. Holding on to resentment really is like carrying a heavy stone around all day, and guess what? You're the one suffering. The other person might have totally forgotten about what happened, but you're still carrying that weight. Letting go isn't for them. It's about putting down that stone for yourself. And this is a whole new way to think about forgiveness, isn't it? It's not about saying what someone did was okay. It's not about letting them off the hook. Forgiveness is an act of self-care. It's you saying, I am not going to let this past event ruin my present anymore. You do it because you deserve to be at peace. And when you do this work, when you really learn to listen to your anger, manage it in the moment, and then finally release it, something pretty incredible happens. The raw energy of that anger, it turns into wisdom. You learn from it, you get stronger, and you find this deep sense of calm you didn't have before. And this brings us right back to where we started. The goal was never to become some robot who doesn't feel anger. I mean, that's not even possible. The goal is to master it, to be able to feel it without it controlling you, to hear its message, and then use that energy for something good. So, I'll leave you with this one question to think about. The next time you feel that flash of frustration or that rush of rage, just pause for a second and ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to teach me right now? Really listening for the answer, well, it could change everything.